Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a Final Fantasy FF6 video. So you might be wondering what that big icon of Lapis is, and I decided to... I'm probably going to screw this up eventually on one of these slides, but I decided to incorporate scores onto the sheet. And I'm not revealing it right now, but I'm sure you'll click ahead anyways and find out what the score is. I might do this on every review from now on. Depends on the feedback, depends on the retention of my videos. I know it's kind of annoying to talk about that to a viewer, but it is important for me. So the reason why I never did that is because I thought people were just going to click around the video and just click off. So I will do scores on the slide based on feedback of the past, and recently someone gave me feedback to do it, so I will do it. So these two units that we're talking about here have scores on the slides. Now I will talk briefly about Gao. He's terrible. How did we go from literally the best Neo Vision Awakening in the game to literally one of the worst? Gao is not even worth reviewing. He is so bad that it would be a waste of time to make a slide for him, because all of it would be like maybe like two bullet points, and the rest of it would be cons, because if you look at his wiki page, it's like, what are they doing? They didn't try. So they didn't try at all for him. He would get like a very low score. So we have Edgar here, whose STMR is very good for him. Of course, all the kind of stuff that gives units flat attack you want to use. And surprisingly, this guy has infinite turns. So both sides, he has 200% various kills. I don't really want to add killers anymore. If they have a lot of killers, I'm just going to say various killers, because they have a lot. And the 150% ice amp, that's quite a huge amp. In the base form, he has Starter Strike and Bolting Strike chaining. And I didn't really know how to word this correctly. Basically, with this 145% ice amp, ice imperil, you use the base LB, and the base LB unlocks a move, which unlocks or basically is able to use an ice imperil. And I think on the third turn it becomes 145%. So for some reason they are very scared of giving, I know why, 160% ice imperil. Gee, I wonder why they're afraid of doing that. It couldn't be a little lady called Regina, could it? So the base LB, 87% defense spirit break. It's basically Jesse's LB except without the dispel, and ice physical damage, and it stacks one time to 300 times max. So I don't think that's that amazing, but... And the Brave Shift form, 200% TDH, 500% cap, 500% jump damage. And I checked to make sure that's actually pretty standard. Sounds kind of low, but when you put on Ricard's helmet, and you also use Ricard's vision card, which I recommend using, then he would have a lot more jump damage. So it's not 500% was pretty standard. Kane has the same amount, for example. And the jump is 30% Spear and Peril, 150 times jump, ice damage, 2 turns. And on the LB, Brave Shift LB of course, at 80 times mod boost for the jump. And so now, well, we're talking about something very soon here. So his ice amp is only 2 turns, and also the same time as the jump. So the ice amp might wear off. I don't know why they decided to do this. Why couldn't it have been 3 turns of the ice amp instead of 2? He does have chaining in his Brave Shift form. It's 200 times Bolting Strike chaining ice, but like, who cares about that when you could just jump instead? For being a breaker, he's terrible. He has the breaker roll, but it's terrible. He's just very mediocre in terms of his breaker roll. Does almost nothing in terms of he's a physical DPS with maybe a little bit of breaks on the side. And it's but he is the strongest jumper now. He will have the same mod buffs, same mods as in total as Kimari, the one that just came out a few was it like 2 months ago now? So Ricard's helmet, Ricard's vision card, and Kimari's STMR, they will have the same mods, but Mori does not have all the flat attack that Edgar will be having with his STMR and everything like that. So Edgar is definitely a lot stronger in terms of just flat out more attack, more just everything. So yeah, I think Edgar is quite good. And let's find out what I'm going to be giving him in terms of a score. Let's see if this works. Kablam! Alright, 8.5 out of 10. That's my score, guys. I think that he's a very strong jumper. However, jumpers are not really that popular right now because it's just Regina just makes everything obsolete. But for physical stages, this guy would probably replace Kane unless you had EX3 Kane. I'm sure Kane's probably still strong enough. But this guy is much stronger. He is locked to ice only. That's another reason why he's not getting a higher score. If he was not an elemental, that'd be insane. Anyways, let's go ahead. I'm gonna have to remember to put that back on. And there we go. So it does work. It does work. So we do have Sabin here. 200 fist, 220 attack, 100% beast killer. But there seems to be something missing. 500 flat attack. However, something I did not list here, he does get quite a bit of flat attack in his passives. He does get 1,000 flat attack and also another 500 that are not EX level, by the way. He does get another 500 on EX level. So 150% fire amp, very strong. 150% beast and reaper killer on a separate cooldown. He has 2 cooldowns. We're going to be talking about the other one very soon. He has 200% or 200 times bolting strike chaining, 200% various killers, 300% TDH, very good. 500% cap, 200% LB damage. The LB is actually not that bad. It has 40% fist imperil, so even if you get this guy and you could get an easy 40% fist imperil. That's not bad at all. However, 120% fire imperil, 200 times fire physical damage, 27 hits, not too bad for a chaining LB. And the SLB is slightly disappointing because it doesn't really do anything more other than the mods. Like it's still 40% fist imperil, which is a good and bad thing. The fire imperil is still the same, so you're gonna need Vaughn or Kid, and it's still fire physical damage 60 times versus beasts, so it's 360 times. And I don't know what the 9 and 18 hits. I don't have any Sabin friends to test on, so I don't know what that delay is. If there is a delay, hopefully there isn't. If there is a delay in between the 9 and then the 10th and the on and on hits, he's worse than what I'm going to be reviewing him for. Okay, so cons. The fire amp only lasts for 2 turns and it's only for 1 use. That's unfortunate. Originally, everyone was saying it was going to be a cooldown. I think that'd be a lot better. In fact, if that was a cooldown, his score would be a lot higher just on that alone, because that's a very strong fire amp. However, it's only for 1 use. So this guy is basically Dark Visions, centered around Dark Visions, because you can't bring this guy to a trial and only have your biggest, strongest turn, only have it for lasting for 2 turns. Yikes. And his 1 cooldown is just, you can argue it's not that bad, but I just don't think it's worth, like that cooldown. The cooldown we're going to be talking about could have been the fire amp instead. So he loses 50% of his HP. I'm assuming this is something that is lore related. To give HP and MP heal to everybody, also beast killer to everybody but himself. And it just has a DPS, it's just like, why? I'm assuming this is something lore related. I've never played Final Fantasy 6, maybe someday I will. I don't get it. And like I mentioned, the 9 and 18 hit thing could be wonky. I don't have any Sabins to test, sadly. So let us look at what I'm going to be giving him. I jump scared you a little bit there. 7.5 out of 10 is pretty generous. I'm giving him a generous score of 7.5. 2 turns availability and fire amp. No stronger fire imperil. He's not a finisher. He doesn't have a lot of attack. That's why he's not getting under 7. Is if once units start going under 7, then they're gonna start having problems. And there hasn't been a lot of units that have gotten 7s or anything below 7s, but 7.5 on my scale is pretty low. And yeah, that's it. He's just another DPS. I've decided I'm gonna start being more strict on reviewing DPS in particular, magic or physical. It doesn't matter what it is, any kind of DPS, because there are so many DPS in the game now that I can't just say he does a lot of damage, he's gonna get a high score. I can't do that anymore. I think that's just watering down my score system. So I need to be more stringent on these DPS scores. So for example, if he had something way more incredible, way more interesting, he'd get a higher score at this point. Because for example, let's do this for a second. Let's theorycraft a little bit on this guy. Imagine if his fire amp was a cooldown. And you could say if it's like a 4-turn cooldown, something ridiculous, where it's like a 4-turn cooldown but only a 2-time duration or something a little bit, you know, annoying, but to be fair, you would be able to use it again. The LB is fine. Let's say that the SLB could be a 45% Fist in Peril, 150% Fire in Peril. That's not too incredibly good because there's 160%, but we've seen there's some 150% coming into the game now too. The fire physical damage can stay, and get rid of the versus beast and just have a 360 times mod 27 hits or 26 in 1 hit SLB. I think that'd be a lot better, and your score would go up to 8 or 8.5 easily. Sadly, that's not the case. We are stuck with someone who clearly liked Edgar a little bit more than Sabin because they actually tried with Edgar a little bit. He's not perfect either, as you saw his score, but he's much better than Sabin. Sabin is going to be someone who would be nice to get as an off banner or in the special EX tickets on the monthly EX ticket stuff, and maybe eventually you'll get him just for free. I think he's good as something that you would just get like an off banner or something that you get for free, like I mentioned. Not really necessary for pulling. I would say a skip. There's probably way better stuff coming in the coming weeks. So, anyways, sorry if you are a Final Fantasy VI fan. Edgar is, like I mentioned, Edgar is not terrible. He's the strongest jumper in the game, but in terms of breakers, he's nah. Like, he's definitely the strongest jumper in the game. Maybe I can get him from EX tickets or something eventually, and I can build him, but I'm not pulling. I'm just gonna wait for anything more exciting that comes along. Anyways, guys, thank you guys very much for watching. Please leave any kind of feedback down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.